sure we can all think back to a time where we've taken a multitude of standardized tests throughout our school years. Whether it was stressful for some, difficult for some, or extremely easy for some, we've taken them for years on end. There are many pros and cons to standardized testing in every state, and they affect every student extremely differently. Throughout this speech, I'll be discussing the pros and the cons, as well as discussing what a standardized test consists of. So first of all, you must ask yourself, what is a standardized test? A standardized test is defined as a test administered according to standardized procedures that assesses a student's aptitude by comparison with a standard. These standardized tests are taken all across the country, and every student is affected differently by them. They consist of math, reading, critical thinking, and science skills, and that is usually what we are assessed upon. So now that I've discussed what a standardized test is, I would like to discuss some of the pros of standardized testing. Some see standardized testing as reliable and objective measures of student performance. If every student is taking the exact same test with the exact same standards, comparison is very easy, and it's easy to see where a student is in their academic year. A 2010 report by McKinsey & Company stated that 20 school systems, and I quote, have achieved significant, sustained, and widespread gains on national assessments by using proficiency targets and frequent standardized testing to monitor their school's progress. Also, according to a Harvard graduate, Richard P. Phelps, 93% of studies on student testing with large-scale and high-stakes tests found a positive effect on students. When there are high stakes, students are stressed out, which is not necessarily a good thing, but it takes them to push their abilities farther than ever before. When the fear of failure is on the line, students will push themselves more than they thought they possibly could, which improves their student achievement on tests. Now, when it comes to the negative side, some see that standardized tests are unreliable measures of student performance. The Brookings Institution found that 50 to 80% of year-to-year test scores were temporary and caused by fluctuations that had nothing to do with long-term changes in learning. With this being said, positives and negatives to standardized testing are also caused by the changes in the individual tests each year, maybe not by the student's knowledge. Some also see standardized testing as unfair and discriminatory to English second language speakers and special needs students. English second language speakers must take the same exact standardized test as students who have been speaking English their entire life. When they don't speak English as well, they can't read the test as well, and they can't interpret the knowledge, which causes an unfair language gap between the two groups. Also, special education students take the same test as the rest of their peers as well, with few of the accommodations usually provided as part of their individualized education plan. Their IEP outlines specific aids that they will be given by the school each and every day, and when they take standardized tests, the states often do not allow their IEP to be fully put in place to see how the student is doing on their own. Not only severe special needs, but ADD, ADHD, and dyslexic students fluctuate day to day, and the day of that test might be a really unstable day for that student, causing an unfair score on their test. Also, some say that standardized tests have not improved student achievement as a whole. After the No Child Left Behind Act in 2002, the U.S. dropped from 18th in the world on the Progress for International Student Achievement to 31st place in 2009, with a similar drop in science. The National Research Council report found no evidence that test-based incentive programs are working. Policymakers and educators are trying their best but have not yet grasped how to use test-based incentives to generate positive effects and improve education. As I have discussed in this speech, there are pros and cons to each side of standardized testing. Some see it as unfair and discriminatory and as a downside to student achievement, but some see it as a way to gauge education, a way to gauge academics, and a positive effect on student achievement. So I'm sure we all have our own opinions on standardized testing because we've taken them for so long, we all feel one way or another. But I hope that throughout this speech you guys have been educated a little bit more on specifically what they are and how people see them on each side.